I will never be sick of it. Hi folks, Falchio Chuil, Ule Mofine, Bourgeois and Dinawe Maganadak. A warm welcome to all my relations. Alright, so we're in paradigm shift. We are moving from a material-based worldview to one that is consciousness-based. We're moving to a consciousness-based reality. Radical re-enchantment sounds very fringy. Sounds very fringy. Radical always brings to mind for me like the wild-haired, mad scientist or some like fringe hippie Unabomber type thing. And radical just means root. Like radical just means that we're not trimming to make it look nicer. We're not grafting to make a little bit of a change. Root means healing from the root, means healing the infection from the root, which means a transformation of the whole. It is complete transformation. And so radical re-enchantment is transforming the root of reality. We're transforming the root from being material-based and separation-based to being consciousness-based and understanding that land and spirit have forever been woven together in a whole. Agus Anam, Fite Bràth. Manitou Aki, Fite Bràth. That's it. That's all. Nothing to be scared of. Nothing to be resistant against. No need to cry. So seeing the world in... Oh, so slutty. Seeing the world in consciousness eliminates the possibility of hierarchy or oppression. It requires trust in the greater whole. It requires trust that people and places and things that we don't understand are doing things that are right for themselves. I mean, this is a fundamental freedom baked into soul sovereignty that is part of a consciousness-based reality, is the understanding that you know what you need, that you know what you want, that you have all the skills and talents and gifts available to you to self-actualize, to become a soul sovereign human being. This is a fundamental truth in consciousness-based reality. It's a shifting understanding of the world. Material is not creating consciousness. Okay, that's an old paradigm. Material reductionism, that greater and greater intricacies of material created consciousness. It's actually the other way around. Consciousness and material are co-creating together. Okay, there isn't one that creates the other. They are in a relationship of wholeness, and consciousness is informing material, and material is informing consciousness. They're working together, always. Fite Bràth. Hopefully one day you will all be sick of me saying, Agus Anam, Fite Bràth. I will never be sick of it. We're in a collective rerouting. The idea of a unifying consciousness has been rejected by material-based science. It has been completely rejected. And it's been rejected not because there isn't evidence of it, but because it threatens a 400-year-old paradigm of reality. Things change. Okay, so we're in a collective rerouting. Turtle Island and I assume other colonies, I don't know, but Turtle Island is in a process of rerouting. We are rooting for the uprooted. And the uprooted are all of our ancestors that came from away. Like, we're all immigrants here on Turtle Island, and we've all been uprooted in some way or another. And the uprooting disconnected us from our ancestors. Well, that and a lot of other things. My ancestors were immigrants to Turtle Island. My ancestors, like 70 million other Celtic diaspora people across the globe, have ancestors from Scotland, Ireland, and England. And my ancestors were colonized twice on their indigenous homelands. They were first colonized by Christianity. That disconnected us from our sacred and spiritual relationship with land. The second colonization was imperial capitalism through the English, through the British. First through Rome. Actually, first through Rome, and then through the English. But imperial capitalism stole land and destroyed the cultural and societal structures of clan life based in communal caretaking of land and people. My ancestors were betrayed by leaders who destroyed the fabric of belief and the world that they knew for time immemorial. My ancestors were betrayed by leaders who chose profit, personal profit, and power over relationship with land and caretaking the people. My ancestors were shamed and exploited and pushed off the land into poverty. Pushed off land that they had held in common for millennia. Immigrants from Western Europe fled oppression, poverty, genocide, famine, and persecution to Turtle Island and other colonies. But there was never any real processing of that pain. I mean, it's a great way to cut off from the pain of the past by emigrating to a new land. But there was an avoidance of processing pain and shame of their own colonization, and the loss of tribal identity, and the loss of tribal culture and spirituality, and land-based identity. My ancestors who came to Turtle Island identified with white. They eventually identified with whiteness. They identified with whiteness to gain economic and social status and to pursue safety and have the novel experience of being part of a dominant culture, the dominant class that has authority and power. This is a bummer. In the 1910 census in Canada, race was still identified as Indigenous ethnicity. So my great-grandparents were Irish and Scottish on the census. Even though their nationality was Canadian, they were identified as Scottish and Irish. My great-grandfather in America, though, his race was white. So whiteness was represented in America. And I know that my ancestors didn't process the pain because I don't think you can be a settler and be a colonizer and be racist towards the indigenous people of this land when you've healed your own colonization, when you have actually felt and allowed yourself to process colonization by Christianity and capitalism, because it changes how you understand power and how you understand governance and authority. It changes everything. Rooting changes everything. Identity with whiteness is, it's not land-based, it's not culture-based, it's not spiritual-based, and it's not a nourishing identity. It's not a real identity. And it's given rise actually to an epidemic of pretendians. Pretendians are those who adopt false indigenous identity instead of reconnecting and healing their own European roots. Shamans, native spirituality, They're dangerous for white people who are looking for spiritual roots, who are looking for cultural roots. All of that stuff is really dangerous for white people to identify with and connect to, because it does nourish and it feels like a homecoming. Because it is, because your soul is crying for rooting. So shamans and native spirituality is very dangerous for white people to connect to and identify with until you have healed your own roots and connection to your ancestors. Until that happens, connecting to a native spiritual practice, like a Turtle Island indigenous spiritual practice, it's why shamans and native spirituality is actually really dangerous for white people until we have healed our roots and our connection to our ancestors. Because until that happens, adopting an indigenous spiritual practice is appropriation. It's appropriation of culture and belief. We are braiding roots here. This is beautiful and necessary. We're braiding roots of healed European land-based spiritual practice to braid into being and belonging with ancient indigenous relationship with this land. This honors our ancestors, and it honors this land and the people of this land. Europeans were victims of colonization. Then they came to America and participated in colonization. I mean, healing roots is complicated. It's complicated and it's painful and it's necessary work. We don't move forward until we do this work. There is no building any new reality until there are roots, healthy, healed roots to hold it in place. So 3 years ago, was it 3? Yeah, 3 years ago, I took 4 seasons of reconciliation. And Dr. Willie Ehrman said, go and reconnect to your roots. Go and heal your roots, reconnect to your culture and your language. So I did. It corresponded at a time when I was already doing deep personal spiritual reconnection with ICU, which involved a lot of family of origin healing and genograms and ancestor healing. So it was very timely. It was all working together. And so I began to look into my own roots, my own Celtic roots on Turtle Island. Scottish, Irish, and English, like 70 million other of the Celtic diaspora all over the globe. I'm going to be doing this my whole life, but this is filled with such amazing, all of this is just amazing homecoming to me. It is homecoming. Speaking for the trees specifically is like braiding sweetgrass for Celts. Diana introduced me to some Irish words that kind of kick-started my reconnection with the language and the magic inherent in Irish and Gaelic. Mohatiat, mochachoeg. This is a word that means resonance, a feeling in your chest, recognizing sentience in another being. She calls it's like a sound passing through you. I mean, anyone who has any kind of relationship with trees knows this feeling of mochachoeg. I mean, you know it. Hiolta na crúna. It's the music of the spheres. It's the music of the spheres. It's world music. It's the song of the universe. And she describes it as how it feels The sun dances on your skin that is wet with morning dew. Ugh, mwah, beautiful. And it's that Hjoltan Kruna is re-enchantment. It is coming into harmony again with all of the wholeness, the spirit and the land together, that we are resonating in harmony with the whole of land and spirit. Hjoltan Kruna. I learned about Tor from her, Tor and the Dree. Her whole book is based in Druidic, ancient Druidic wisdom that she learned firsthand on the land. And Tor and the Dree opened the door to my ancestors. And the acceptance, Jesus, still. And the acceptance of my inheritance as a Celtic descendant. What I need to impress upon you is that my ability today to stand in front of you and embrace my Celtic spiritual and cultural land-based practice is something that my ancestors were not able to do. They not only were not able to do that, they were shamed and scorned and rejected and shipped away for their connection and belief to land-based spiritual practice. Tor and the Dree. These are wild Celtic spiritual embodiment that my ancestors are profoundly, I am profoundly connected in lineage with my ancestors. This is what healing roots does. This is what reconnecting to ancestors does. The way it will enlarge your experience of your existence in the world is insane. It's just unfathomable. And it also makes it perfectly understandable why other authorities of spirituality would make connecting to ancestors, talking to the dead, and other land-based spiritual practices to be anathema and to be rejected and call them demonic and untrustworthy. Oh, I get it, because it's super powerful to speak your language and call your ancestors into presence here through language. Hana Kaliachen Afriavohug Mishiike Minisi. We are magic people. Magic witches. Magic witches, the other world. The other world is part of this world. Souls, immortal souls that do not stop and are not separated from us. This is all Celtic inheritance. This is all rerouting, returning into being in the world. Your love for all things spooky and Halloween, Samhain, and delicious delight in the night, and witches and magic. This is your soul calling. It's your call of soul to reconnect to your ancestors, to your roots. These are your roots. It's why I love using witch. It's why I love using magic, because those were allowed to stay. You could also argue that we didn't allow that to disappear, that our soul loved that so much that we wouldn't allow it to be erased. But it got transformed into fiction. This is not fiction. This is what remains of our ancient Celtic spiritual and land-based practice. These are our roots. These are our roots of spirit and understanding and being in the world. Follow the cords back to your ancestors who are speaking to you through the land. Isyantir mochia akanade. The land is my heart. Hana Kaliachan Afriavahug Mishiike Minisi. The Kaliach are rooting on Turtle Island, and the Kaliach are witches. Kaliach means witch, it means hag, it means crone. It means Kaliach was a land goddess, is a land goddess. That was. Kaliach is a land goddess, an old hag of our indigenous homelands. Guess who's here? Guess who's here? Guess who's here? We are braiding. Oh my god, it makes me so emotional. We are braiding ancient Celtic land-based magic with ancient indigenous knowledge on our adopted homelands. We are Kaliach on Mishiike Minisi. This is the rooting and the shift that's happening. Maybe you identify with it. Maybe you get it. We're joining again. We're joining again with ancestors and land and spirit together. There's no separation. We're healing the separation that we believed was real. There is no separation. Irish and Gaelic are magical language, and speaking it into the world literally is an invitation and building a bridge to ancestors to come through the language. It brings our ancestors close. We build the bridge that heals our ancient roots and brings the seen and unseen into wholeness the way our ancestors lived in the world before a colonizing God taught them that spirit was someplace else. Cheer agus Anam, Fite Bràth. Land and spirit are woven and sewn together forever. Spirit is communicating all the time and speaks to all. It's just up to us whether we hear or not. The trees, the plants, the animals, the birds, the insects, the wind, the water, they all carry messages and offer wisdom. The other world is right here. The other world is part of this world. Our ancestors lived in a world where death was a rebirth into the other world, and a death in the other world was rebirth into this world. Isn't it interesting to think that maybe the world of spirit grieves our birth into the world of form because we've been separate and we haven't heard one another, that they know they will lose us, they will lose communication with us for the time that we're here. So I speak to the dead, like my cousins today, like my ancestors before me. I'm able to do so today without fear of religious, legal, or social persecution. Yay! No more persecuting witches. Yay! This is the first time in 462 years that witch wisdom is available to exist in the world and be shared without persecution. Standing in our ground and sharing our gifts with the world is part of this shift, part of this paradigm shift into enlarging what's possible, enlarging what we accept as possible. You can speak to your loved ones who have passed over. You can speak with the unseen. You can communicate with spirit directly, yourself. You can do this yourself. This isn't special gifts for special people. This is available to everyone. This is a birthright that we have as we're born and become embodied in land. We continue to be connected to spirit. There's no disconnection, ever, 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 ever. Ever.
Forever, forever, ever, forever, ever.
Magic is real, and magic is the result of healing all the blocks and resistance that get in the way that keep us separate from our wholeness. Sometimes communicating with spirit directly ourselves is hard. That's why I offer my services. I have trouble communicating with my dad who passed 15 years ago. I feel him a lot. Cardinals are the way that I know that he's around, aside from just experiencing his presence. And I have cardinals in my backyard year round, all the time. There's plenty. I can feel his presence and he pops in a lot, but I can't have a prolonged conversation with him because I get pulled into our relationship when he was incarnate. I get pulled into that, and I'm unraveling that, and I'm still healing from that relationship. And so it makes it difficult for me to talk to him. And so I look to others when I have questions or when I want to speak to him on a more prolonged basis. So everyone everywhere is connected to spirit. We're all immersed in the consciousness of the universe. But I can talk to your dead when you struggle. So I have spots open right now, and I'm offering a sale for talking to the dead. If you click the link, you can find out more information, and it's going to be open until July 25th. So Cheer agus Anam Fite Futsa Bràth. Land and spirit are woven and sewn together forever. Your loved ones haven't stopped, and they want to continue a relationship with you. And if you want to hear them, I can help. Okay, love you. Bye.